Welcome to the Mama Bear Family Care Mastermind Summit. I'm Sherilyn and I'll be hosting the summit. Today we have the privilege of talking with Kelly Keefe. Kelly is an innovative leader, empowerment mindset coach, speaker, best-selling author, and Reiki teacher. She is the founder of the Heart Space, established in 2016, helping individuals and groups find their inner peace and elevate into states of thriving. She has worked with thousands of people around the world, including C-suite executives and entrepreneurs, helping them create fulfillment in their lives and exceed their goals while doing so. Kelly is a frequency therapist and multidisciplinary artist. She uses her certified training and experience to bring a fresh approach to traditional therapy, allowing for faster results and true resolution of problems and challenges. Hello, Kelly. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today.
With pleasure. Thank you so much.
You're a spiritual entrepreneur. What does that mean?
Yeah. For me, entrepreneurship and spirituality are pretty much synonymous. I started being aware of my entrepreneurial journey right out of college, but as my awakening happened, 12 years ago or so, I started to realize that they're synonymous. As entrepreneurs, we see something that we can't actually tangibly see. We have to put faith
Right.
into something and follow the unknown and going into it. So I'm someone that spent most of her 20s traveling the world, studying with different spiritual leaders and indigenous elders and going deep into my spirituality and remembering who I am in that way, who also went to school for business and had a startup company right out of school and loves that world. So I bring them together. I feel I'm a very tapped in, very grounded human to be a bridge and a representation of heaven on earth.
Wow, I love that. I really love that. I mean the heaven on earth concept really resonates with me as well. Um, that's really, really beautiful. That they're synonymous. They're not, it's not like you have to make them work together. And I love that you also help people heal in so many different ways.
Mm.
And overcoming limiting beliefs is a huge part of that. And a lot of those limiting beliefs that a lot of us grow up with have to do with our relationship with money. And I've heard you talk about how that many times has to do with our sense of our own value. And that's so profound. So what is the connection there?
Yeah, it's huge. And our beliefs are everything because we're operating from the mind will prove whatever our beliefs are to be true. So
Mhm.
whatever we truly at the subconscious core level believe will create a reality that matches it. So there's a lot of science into that. When we look at money, money and sex are two of the most challenging, dense frequencies that we navigate as humans. And there's a lot of shame and guilt and fear that we bring into money. And it's interesting where we've been living in a world where we will equate our value is equal to how much money we make. We determine our value by how much money we make, and that's not true. Our
Yeah.
value is our innate value. What's interesting is that our the amount of money we make doesn't determine our value. However, when we start to get clear of what our true value is, it will change how much money we make.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, I'm just like letting that land for a moment for everyone, where as we start to understand how much value, like for whoever's like, you carry so much value to the table. And the more that we own that, there's an energetic match where people will also see that.
Hmm.
And it's not a command in a egoic way, but in an energetic way. It's that royalty energy coming in. We're going, whoa, okay, I will meet this. And which will
Yeah.
then begin to change it.
Yeah. Wow. That's really powerful.
Hmm.
That and it's so inspiring, like
Hmm.
it's exciting to think about that. It's potentially so simple, you know,
Right.
and yet it's such a struggle for so many of us. And can you tell us a little bit about your path and finding and healing your financial energy and creating and learning how to accept abundance more fully, and how that's impacted your spiritual life and health in the other parts of your life, physical, emotional, mental?
Yeah. I mean, it's been honestly, it's been one of the core wounds of my own human experience. And so often they say our mess is our message. You know, the things, anything that we
Right.
go through in our lives, it's so that way we can learn how to come out of it and help others to do the same.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a family that money really wasn't an issue, but I had such deep core wounds around my value. Like the way that we operate in the world is imprints from 0 to 11 years old. And one of my very first memories that was on a home video, so we watched it again and again
Oh
and
my
again as a
God.
childhood, was, I mean, I was hours old and my sister going, "That's a boy and I don't want him."
Ugh,
So, and I wasn't treated well as a child, and this and that. So there's a lot of stuff that
yeah.
was there of my value.
Yeah.
And so at 14, I had my first boyfriend, and they lived in an extremely poverty stricken environment. Like I spent a lot of time in the hood, and I started finding people who were matching what I thought I was valued of.
Okay.
You
Yeah.
know, so I just kind of continued on this wave of I could be around a bunch of money, but I didn't have it. I was always broke. I never went
Yeah.
out anywhere. I was always just kind of a hermit because I couldn't go out anywhere or
Wow.
relying on family to kind of cover my stuff, you know, like so it was a
Right.
it was a deep wound. It took a while, you know, and then as I started to say, okay, enough is enough. Because unfortunately, we really, as humans, it can usually take a rock bottom for us to finally say,
Yeah.
okay, it's time for a change.
Right.
So after a few
Yeah.
rock bottoms of thinking, I was like, I'm ready to change. But I didn't go deep enough into the work and understand the consciousness of money and realize my relationship with it. And as I started to do these various different techniques and tools and practices and really look at what was the wound within me, what did I perceive about myself? It's never
Mm,
about me. It's never about the way the world works. It was never about anybody else. It was really about me and me not owning how
mm,
valuable I am and how much I bring to the table and
mhm,
respecting
mhm.
my energy. So as I started to do this work, and it never ends, like I'm
Mhm.
not where I want to be because I want to see how big this can go, you know,
Yeah.
like because I know they say that money's an expander. The more money we have, it just
Oh, yeah.
expands who we truly are and it will go in. So we're doing a disservice to all of humanity by good altruistic humans not having.
Yes.
So as I started to shift this, my spiritual life, I'm stronger in my rootedness and my dharma and my purpose. And I am aware that, and I believe this is true of everyone, but I really try to just speak of my experience.
Hmm.
It's created me to be an even more powerful expander and
Hmm.
activator for everyone around me. Because I'm now moving in a way that they're like, oh, that's right. That's possible. Oh, I can do that. Oh, that's
Yeah.
okay. And seeing it
Right.
safe to do it.
Yeah. Wow. So you mentioned I'm curious about I love the spiritual perspective and like your inner the perspective from your inner life through that process. But I'm
Mm.
also curious about how did that manifest in the nuts and bolts of actually creating your own business, for example, and not having to be dependent on your family or other people for your own, like generating your own wealth. Did you come up with a new idea for a business, or did you start behaving differently in business, or,
Mm.
how did that work?
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I started the heart, and when I say this, I started it, meaning I got an LLC, a domain name, and started a blog. Like as soon as the transmission came through, like the heart space, because I already had an entrepreneurial mindset.
Yeah.
So I can't say when I started it was truly when I like showed up and was like, okay, let's do this. You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
full transparency to everyone because what do I have to hide, you know?
Mhm.
So I already was operating with an entrepreneurial mindset. I had a startup. I was given the opportunity to work with the former vice president of Johnson and Johnson right out of school. So I was already in this world like I can create my world. I don't have to go work a 9 to 5 and do the things, you know. So I got the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial bug from the jump. So
Right,
for
right.
me, there was no going back. I've done time in corporate. I've worked different sales jobs. I've done different things. Like I'm not, it hasn't always been entrepreneurial. I worked at a nonprofit for a couple of years. It's been quite the journey to
Yeah.
get to here. And I don't know what will come in the future, you know, like it is what
Yeah.
it is. But the nuts and the bolts of getting here has been a lot of trial and error. It's been a lot of roller
Mm.
coasters because when I started this, I was still operating under my scarcity mindset and
Well,
not seeing my
yeah.
value,
Right,
you
right. That's
know?
what I was kind of curious about is like
Yeah.
when did you start to see the shift in money?
Yeah.
Because like how did that piece of it happen for you? Like did you have to go through, was there was that after a period of time with the working on your value, your inner value that you just started maybe making different kinds of offers or um I'm just curious
Yeah.
how that when did that shift and how did that happen? And also like there's a lot of women in our audience who are interested in building their own businesses as well. And I was wondering if you have any advice for practical things that they might do based on your experience that can start to change their relationship with money.
Yeah, totally. So first I'll answer kind of the evolution and things where I saw a shift there, and then I can go to some tangibles of how people can, you know, start to create a
Okay.
shift here and now.
Yeah, yeah.
The dance of the heart space evolving has evolved with me. You know, I started it in 2016. I then went to India in 2017. When I came back, I said, this is what I'm doing. I had side jobs along the way. If there was times where I needed to make it happen, I also started with just doing one-off Reiki sessions. I wasn't being smart in
Mm-hmm.
creating a sustainable structure
Okay.
for the company. So I'm going to explain little pieces, but anyone who's listening, you know, invitation to list deeper, there's little codes in here as well with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
business side of it,
Right.
where it wasn't a sustainable structure. So I was just kind of what I realized where there was times I was just like, oh, I just kind of hope someone's not consciously, I would never
Right,
pray this to someone,
right.
but I was like, oh, I was needing
Yeah.
somebody to be feeling dis-ease or not connected spiritually so I could do a Reiki session for them so I could pay my bills.
Oh, uh-huh.
Which isn't cute. That's not good for anybody,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I was also burning myself out because it's, you know, energy work of doing this.
Yeah.
So I learned over time and said, okay, that's not sustainable.
Okay.
What's a way that I can create something that's more sustainable that can work? So then we started doing, and simultaneously, I listen in silence a lot. I in
Mm-hmm.
prayer. I listen. I listen. I listen. I listen. I listen. And
Mm-hmm.
then started to go into our trainings.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So then we're doing the Reiki trainings. 2 years later, we did our first online course. Because again, I'm growing through this. During this time, I went to
Mm-hmm.
Guatemala. I got initiated by the Mayans. And then I
Mm-hmm.
started working with Grandmother Moonwalker. So all of these elders I felt just kind of kept coming out of the woodworks,
Mm-hmm.
finding me and reflecting back to me that I'm powerful and I have things to do this lifetime and supporting me stepping in and owning this power. And the more
Mm-hmm.
that I've stepped into my truth and saying, okay, I can hold this, I can do this, and seeing lives transforming as
Yeah.
I've been helping them, the offers have gotten larger. We can hold group containers. We can do retreats. We can do, you know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's grown with me the more I've accepted who I am and what I'm here to do this lifetime,
So
you
it sounds
know?
like your thinking started to shift as your identity, your sense of yourself shifted.
Totally. I mean, it goes into the phrase of the be, do, have.
Yeah.
Who we are being is completely impacting the things that we're doing in our day-to-day lives. And whatever we're doing in our day-to-day lives is going to impact what we have. So
Mm-hmm.
we can look at it either way. You can ask yourself, who am I being? What am I doing? What do I have? And then simultaneously, if you start to change who you're being, then what you do is going to be different. If
Oh
I'm
yeah, of course.
saying I'm I'm being an athlete, well, then the things I do on the day to day is going to be very different than if I don't identify as an athlete. And
Right,
therefore, I
right.
have a different physique. I have a different routine. I probably have a stronger mind capacity, et cetera, et
Mm-hmm.
cetera.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. So is that where you recommend women begin when shifting their relationship with money?
I find that's a very sobering check in with ourselves, getting like doing that inventory of where am I?
Yeah,
Who am I being? What am I doing?
yeah.
What do I have? And have also the good and the bad, looking at our
Yeah.
money and then also other parts of our lives. And then also asking ourselves, what is our relationship to money? Again, we've created this thing that money is this evil entity or force or something that we're uncomfortable about and scared of, or something that we would love to have, but it's far reaching. And my invitation to start to shift that is to ask, if you were to see money as a person,
Mhm.
what would that relationship look like?
That's funny. And that made me laugh because I'm thinking of like abusive relationships or
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Codependent relationships or yeah,
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
Yeah. And it can start to change it because it brings us to the expansiveness of everything's a consciousness. And this is a
Mm,
perfect example of the bridging of the grounded, I guess it would be more here, the grounded and the spiritual. Very spiritual. Everything's connected. Everything's a consciousness. Everything has an energy and we're in relationship to it. From
yeah.
you and I in this moment, I'm in relationship with whomever's listening to this. I'm also in relationship to money. And if we're in a toxic or an abusive relationship with it, well, then yeah. If you talk to
Hmm.
money in a way that you're just like, oh, I can't stand you, I hate this, well, then of course it doesn't want to be around you. As soon as
Right.
it walks in the
Wow.
door, do you put it to work? Or do you
Mm,
say, oh my God, I'm so happy to see you. Here, sit for a moment, relax, aka put in a little bit in savings. Don't spend it as soon as it gets in. You might, even if it's just an
mm,
hour, let it sit. Give
mm.
it a glass of water. Daydream together. Create worlds
Yeah.
together. And then it
Wow.
tends to shift our actual relationships in the world as well.
Wow. Yeah. I've never heard it talked about quite that way. Yeah, that's interesting because it's like um giving thanks is really powerful too. Like I noticed one of my friends who's a spiritual teacher and energy worker herself, who's a mentor of mine. And I just noticed, it's in the little things. And she's doing well financially now, and she wasn't always. She went through a period of struggle, and now, it was interesting to watch what she got one time when she got a check in the mail or something like that. She didn't even say anything about it. She didn't make a big deal out of it, but I just was watching her and she just got it. And like, it was just a moment of like deep gratitude, and it really stuck with me because it's like she let herself completely receive it and give thanks like right in the moment. And, it's just real subtle, but like that was such a part of her, um, the way she lives her life now, And another thing that I learned from her also is, um, when you're walking down the street, like if you're walking down the street and you see a $10 bill and there's obviously nobody around, like it's not like you're stealing or hiding it from someone who just dropped it, but if it's just there, you're going to pick it up. But if it's just $1, will you pick it up? Or if it's a quarter, what if it's a penny? And she said, stop for the penny too, because otherwise it's like it's sending out the message that, well, I don't value that piece of value, and it's a fundamental shift in recognizing value. And I could see how what you've been talking about would impact the way like that relationship with money would impact I could see how it could go both ways. It could impact like how we value ourselves too, the way we're valuing money, because like that's what buys our food, what buys our clothes, what keeps us safe. So it's like if I'm not giving thanks and like giving attention to cultivating this piece of my life that is making sure that I'm safe and that I'm okay, that I have a roof over my head, that I have food to eat, that I can take care of myself and my loved ones when they're sick, that's almost a self-destructive relationship, not just with money, but with myself, right?
Totally. And money is energy.
Yeah.
And it simply just gives us more options.
Yeah.
And it's creating the option to invest in ourselves better and invest in our family and invest in those that we care about, invest in our mission. So absolutely, they're in completely in parallel. And when we can create, especially as women, when we start to look at what is the standard that we're setting for ourselves,
Yeah.
it's not about anybody else. But when we look at what's the standard I'm setting of the things of, I know that I eat that sort of food and I do this and that, and you start to look at, so how much, you know, how much do I make then
Yeah.
at that lifestyle? And when we start to make these declarations of non-negotiables and
Mm.
we really own to it, we're going to probably have to make some changes in our lives, because if we
Yeah.
keep doing the same thing we've always done, we're always going to get the same thing we've always gotten.
Right.
It creates a new energetic threshold that will then begin to change that. Now, I was sharing with a mentee of mine the other day. We were driving somewhere and we were talking about money where, they were sharing they don't have a savings account yet. Everything just lives in their checking. I said, girl, we're going to change that right now. If you want, it's your life. I can't make you do anything. But right now, let's open you a checking account where you have a 4% or 4.5% interest rate where your money can be making money for you. Like when that sits
Mhm.
there, and we talked about creating that and creating a new non-negotiable in your checking, that you say your checking balance never goes below this amount. And you
Mhm.
keep yourself to that standard. Because that's by doing that, you're going to be playing a different game of your money,
Mhm.
where it's no
Yeah.
longer anything could be in my checking account. I'm watching it go down to the final dollar. And then we're here. It shifts a lot just by saying, even if it's my checking, because everyone's in different places in their finances. And
Mhm.
I've been somewhere where it's been overdraft, and like asking the bank, please just take some of these charges away. It's cruel that you're charging me money for not
Right.
having money. Like
I
I
know, I've
can't
been there too.
I've been there. So like if this
Yeah.
doesn't come from a space of I don't know, like I get it. We're
Okay.
all
Yeah.
in different places and it's steps. But maybe if you're in the balance of dollar to dollar, maybe the new checking threshold is my checking, it doesn't go under $50.
Mhm.
And that becomes your new game. So
Mm.
you see how much you have in there, and then you start to play with, okay, if I'm getting close to that 50, well then it means I don't have anything. $50 in your account now means you have zero here,
Okay. Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. So you have a little cushion for
Yeah.
yourself too.
And it changed. So now it shifts the energetics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Peace of mind.
Yeah. Yeah. And oh, sorry.
Oh, it's okay. Mhm.
Yeah, it shifts the whole game of who you are. And it's these
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
on the earthly plane that shift things in you spiritually. It's not spiritual to be broke. Like there's a lot of new age
Yeah.
stuff going on it's actually traps to keep us from being really grounded and creating an impact in the world.
Right.
You know, we're the ones who need to have the resources because we'll utilize it in a good way, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
Women are naturally multipliers. We
Oh, yeah.
naturally are community oriented and minded. We want to take resource and how can we distribute it enough to the
Yeah.
people? Yeah.
Oh, wow. I hadn't thought about it that way before. That's interesting. And speaking of women, there are a lot of sensitive and spiritual women in our audience, neurodiverse, sensitive people, um, who are also interested in building their own business. And that can, building a business can be a special kind of challenge for people like us, and do you have any words of wisdom specifically for these women in going out into the world of business and to help them through that process?
Yeah. One, find a coach, a mentor, someone who has done it, who gets it, who will like support you, and not someone who's going to charge you, 75K to 100K and promise you you're going to make $1 million in a year. Like,
Yeah.
please don't do that. I've heard too many stories of people investing insane amounts off of this dream that was sent to them. And when you're starting a business, learning the skill of resourcefulness is it's lifelong. One of the women on my team, she says all the time, she's like, Kelly, you are the most resourceful person I know. And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, I was a solopreneur for years, and I also was broke for a year. I learned how to get scrappy. I learned how to get resourceful and learn how do you get the most out of investing as little monetarily as possible for some time, and find someone who can help you. Get clear on what your offerings are.
Okay.
The clearer you can communicate who you are and what your message is, the easier it is for people to understand you.
Yes.
Yeah.
So when you say coach, are you talking about a business coach specifically?
I think it depends on the person who, like, if you have zero business knowledge, find someone who has business knowledge.
Okay. Yeah.
I feel so blessed that I went to school for business. And when I changed my major, I was like, what am I doing? It was the whole flip of my lifestyle. It was a light switch. I started exercising every day, eating healthy, and I switched from anthropology and education to business. And to see now the path I was brought on is for this moment through the Ascended Mastermind or the Rooted and Rising stuff we do. It's to help spiritually gifted people or artists and creatives who don't have business know-how learn how to business and be able to play in this space and bring the new energy. If someone has business know-how and they feel that they need a coach more to support them in that confidence boost and putting themselves out there, it's limiting beliefs on that, then find someone for that. If you need help with business, find someone with business. If you're wanting a little bit of both, come to me. I'm not kidding, but I'm not kidding. That's me, but there's totally other people out there too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, in fact, the lady I've been following who is helping me put together this summit is a little bit of both as well, and so it helps to find someone you resonate with, I think, and you mentioned, not going to someone who's gonna sort of basically take advantage of, and just charge an incredible, overwhelming amount, but especially when we're learning to create abundance, I would expect, there would be some investment, and because I'm thinking there, if you're gonna go to somebody who maybe isn't charging it like it looks like a real good deal, say, I'm just thinking it might be a good idea to make sure that they're doing well in what you're going to them to help you with, right? And so if they have a scarcity mindset, that it might look like a deal, but they may not have what it takes to teach us, right? So we might want to strike a balance there with the being willing to invest in our future, right?
Yep. Yes, it's the blade of discernment is so important in the world of a spiritual seeker and as an entrepreneur or a creator, whatever you identify as. But we're all essentially entrepreneurs. We're all creating ourselves. We're all just a bunch of artists. We're creating our lives.
Right.
The sort of discernment to be able to know what's truth and tapping into that intuition, especially as women, we have that innate knowing. And you can feel that. And I appreciate you bringing that up. If someone's like, oh, for $100, so 6 months of not too good. But there is someone we should want to work with an expander, someone who
Mm-hmm.
challenges us in a healthy way, someone who
Mm-hmm.
pushes you out of your comfort zone, but
Mm-hmm.
doesn't want to put you in detriment.
Mm-hmm.
That's the sweet spot as we continue to grow. There's a difference between being uncomfortable and in pain.
Yes.
An example, a woman who I've known from the jump when we worked together, that scarcity mindset's a big thing. For her, it's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And I just did a 1 day workshop in the city yesterday, and I sent it to her because it's so, like girl, like you're to be
Yes.
here. And immediately the scarcity response came up of, is there any way I
Mhm.
could get a discount, or maybe I could like offer you some services for an exchange of it? And I
Uh,
just looked at it and I felt into it, because there's times I will do that for certain things, or I just invite a guest for things, because
mhm.
generosity is really important for your
Oh yeah,
abundance
yeah.
as well,
That's
you
true.
know?
Yeah. And
But
often that can
yeah,
help attract abundance as
of
well. I've
course, because
noticed.
what you
Yeah.
put out, you get back. But I looked at it and I said, no, that's not I'm fueling that pattern, that scarcity mindset.
Good point.
And
Yeah.
I just no. And I let it be.
Mhm.
And then a week later, she said, I'm coming and I'm bringing a friend for her
There you go.
birthday. I'm treating her. And yesterday, after the whole event, and it was amazing,
Mhm.
she said to the group, she said, I want to thank you for pushing me and, really edging me to
Mhm.
invest in myself.
Mhm.
And as soon as I said, you know what, I'm going to do it because I know I'm supposed to be there. This is going to help me bring my vision further and build. We
Yeah.
were doing visionary work and blueprinting out our business plans for a year. So
Yeah.
she was like, I need to look at that. She said, as soon as I said, you know what, I'm going to do it and invest in myself, she said, so much unexpected abundance came flying in.
Wow. Oh my goodness. That just gave me chills all over because
Yeah,
like I know the truth of that, of how
yeah,
that kind of thing works. That's
yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
The
So it's because
power of
when,
a decision.
yeah, and listening to the call. I'm huge
Mhm.
on, there's calls placed on our heart that are
Mhm.
here from God. I'm
Mhm.
so, and very much so operates, we're here on assignment. And when
Mhm.
we start to
Mm.
really say, whoa, there's something on my heart, I have a job to do,
Yeah.
because I have a boss
Yeah.
and their name is God, and they're putting me to work. And the more that
Yeah.
we say, I trust you, I'm going to take these steps and I will do the things that make me uncomfortable, but I know I have to do this because it's for you. The
Yeah.
amount of support that comes flooding in is
Yeah.
unfathomable.
Yes. I can relate to that. That really speaks to me. Because it takes such a load off of us too, you know? Because I grew up with the background of the Bible. I still read the Bible every day. That was my worldview growing up. And um one of the things in there is about not having to do things in our own strength,
Mm,
you know, and that's a good thing because, there have been times, even during this process of making the summit, where I felt like I was almost at my breaking point. Not quite, I wasn't, it wasn't the point of pain that you were talking about. It was just a stretch, but it was, big stretch, and, some of the people in my life are concerned, and they're like, sometimes I'm worried that this is too much for you. And, I took that to heart and I was thinking, you know what? It is too much for me, but it's not too much for him. And as soon as I remembered that, I got my strength back because it wasn't my
mm,
strength to begin with.
yes. Oh, glory to God. So good. That's it. Yeah, lean on him. That's so beautiful. And I love that we share the Bible together. I
Yeah,
knew
oh,
I knew what we're talking. I was like, there's something here. But it
yeah,
is. It's that faith, right? Where again,
yeah,
it brings us back full circle of
yeah.
entrepreneurship and spirituality in so many ways are synonymous.
Yes, yes,
I know I have to go on this journey.
yeah,
I can't see what's in front of me, but I know I just have to keep going.
yeah.
And there's a lot of trials and tribulations, and you grow, like who you become as
Mhm,
you build something. When I
mhm.
think about who I was in 2016
Yeah,
versus who I am today, like, oh my goodness. Like
yeah.
it's like, I'm sure, like I don't want to project onto, so maybe let me frame this in a question so
Okay.
I don't speak into your existence. I'm curious if you've experienced growth within yourself already from the start of creating the summit to now, going
Oh,
through
yeah.
challenge.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it's not, in fact, in some ways, I don't feel like I'm even the same person. I'm still
Mhm.
going through the process of sometimes it doesn't even feel like my life because it's that new, and I understand that this is the process of creating new neural pathways, and that's all it is. It's just unfamiliar. But it's a new identity and it's a new life. And there's a lot of different things that go into that, like you were mentioning before, it change when your identity changes, the way you think about everything changes. The way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way people respond to you, your sense of self-worth, your the way you handle problems when they come up. It's not the end of the world. It's just like, oh well, I guess I'll have to shift something then. You figure it out, and that gives you a sense of um, confidence, right? Um, and just a sense of hope also comes with that because it's like,
Mhm.
oh, I can figure this out, with again leaning heavily on the creator, you know, um, we can do this. We can do this. And another phrase from the Bible is, if God is for us, who can be against us?
Mhm.
Like what is there that
Mhm.
we can't do if that force is behind what we're doing,
Mhm.
and connect with the heart. I know one thing that the coach that has been helping me through the summit says is just be willing to do it messy. You be willing to do it. Just
Yeah.
do finish. Finish what you start. It doesn't have to be perfect. But done is better than perfect. And
Yep.
um, also, like, you may be afraid of getting things wrong. You are going to get some things wrong. Some of this stuff is new to you. But one thing you can't get wrong is love. You can't get love wrong.
Mhm.
And so connecting
Mhm.
with what we have to offer, like what you were saying, we're here to do a job. We have gifts, you know.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So good. It's so beautiful to just like hear that back, and it's building the muscles, right?
Yeah,
There's so many people we can procrastinate on taking the first step. It's like, oh, we're not going to do it perfect. No, you're not. No matter when you
yeah,
do it. Nothing's like
right.
until the day we leave this planet, we're all just walking around creating, trying to figure out what's going on.
Yeah,
There's no ever time that anyone knows it all.
yeah,
We're all just playing and figuring it out. And something I love to look at, Steve Jobs said, you'll never be able to connect the dots looking forward. You can only do it when looking back.
oh right,
And I love being able to look back at different pieces of my journey. And when I got put into this spot, or I met this person, or I dove into this side job because I needed to, boost up some extra cash, and the people I met, or the tools that I acquired, or whatever it is, to see everything has just been this bringing to me in this moment. And knowing everything I'm creating and doing in this moment is simply preparing me for the next,
yes, yes,
because it's just this game of becoming. We're always just in this dance where, you said something earlier, I can't remember exactly what, but it is this continuation of us releasing the pressure off of ourselves,
oh
where we
yeah, we
don't
don't
have
have to do
to.
it in our own strength.
Yeah, or it's just like, oh, we're just continuing to become. And
Hmm.
I like to look at it whenever there's a challenge. I'm like, oh, I thought I was so close, and then there's like, it feels like all of a sudden the
Yeah,
marker's been moved.
yeah.
I just imagine it as God saying, very good, now come this way.
Oh
So I have
wow.
to come closer. And I'm like, I'm almost there. And it's like,
Yeah,
very
yeah,
good. They're trying to lead me to a room.
yeah, yeah,
Like just like having to like breadcrumb me in, because they
yeah.
know like if I were to hear and see and know where I'm being led, I'd be like,
Yeah.
oh no. Oh no,
Exactly.
not because it's not amazing, not
Yeah,
because I'd be like, me
yeah, yeah,
doing what? And we
yeah,
created that, and I have
yeah,
all of that. Oh no. So it's just this like breadcrumbing of bringing us in,
yes.
which we also have to do with ourselves, of these boosts. Especially
Mm.
with money,
Hmm.
just that reminder of we have to get practical and set ourselves up for success and inch it. If you have $3 in your bank account right now, to start to say, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, I'm a millionaire, and these affirmations, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's like, no matter how powerful affirmations are, it's too big of a jump
Yeah.
for your subconscious mind to get on board. But
Right.
starting to say, I'm financially stable. I'm financially stable. I'm financially stable.
Oh,
Now
okay.
that's something that it's a stretch from where you are,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not too big of a jump that your subconscious mind can be like,
Yeah.
okay, maybe. I could see that. I could see
Right.
that. And then once we do the work to create that, moving through our money stuff and starting to
Mm-hmm.
clear that, and we get there, and then I can start to go to, I have 100K. I have 100K. I have 100K.
Okay.
And stepping ourselves into the next things. I have an ROI, whatever it is. But
Yeah.
just that reminder to everyone, whether it's your business, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
your finances, whether it's your health journey, it's we want to set ourselves up for success. Put it into bite-sized pieces. So that way all of your parts, your mental, your emotional, your spiritual, your inner mother, your inner father, your higher self, and your inner child can all stay on board through
Mm-hmm.
the process.
Oh, I love that. That's really powerful because I do work with family constellation work, and
Mhm.
I also have complex trauma. And so I've been familiar with the idea of splits, that to some degree most of us probably have splits, but I suppose you wouldn't have to even look at it as just splits. It's just, like you said, different parts of us, right? And that's often what really gets in the way, is that part of us might be ready to go, just like, oh yeah, let's, no problem at all, no blocks, whatever. But we forget about this other part of us that is not ready or able yet, and that just stops us. So I really love the like your tips on how to get all those parts working together,
Yeah.
and by doing it gradually. And like there's another phrase from the Bible that comes to my mind, is walk the at the pace of the children, right? It's like there's got a large group of people, there's men, women, animals, whatever, and little toddlers who can barely walk, and so the whole group walks the pace of the children, walks the pace of
Mm.
the littlest one, and the little lambs that were just born. Because otherwise it doesn't work for anybody. You try to rush ahead and it's like, well, we could get there faster, but yeah, but it doesn't work in the long run, because like you don't have your future with you, right?
Totally. Totally. It's that sustainability, right?
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
we can get so because we've cultivated this culture that it's instant gratification, and I'm just gonna pick up my phone and blah, 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 here it is, and the thing that I just ordered better be there in an hour, or I'm pissed off
Right.
at it.
Yeah.
We created this instant gratification world where we have to remember, like, the time and the way that we operate our lives right now is man-made. When we
Yeah.
remember nature time, like when a farmer goes and plants a seed, they don't pull out a project management tool and say, okay, so in a week you will root, and
Yeah.
then you will sprout by this day, and then will this and that. It's on its time. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
something roots, sometimes it doesn't. I'm tending to
Mm-hmm.
someone's plants and cats right now while they're traveling, and their tomato plants, they're like, so I still water them. It's been 3 years, but I've never gotten a tomato. And while I've been taking care of them, it's sprouted its first tomato. And like it's starting to bud all these things. And I was like, oh, I think you're going to come home to a bunch of tomatoes. But it took 3 years.
Yeah.
But
Wow.
he's continued to show up
Wow.
to take care of it because you don't know the
Mm-hmm.
timing of it. And we can get so
Mm-hmm.
caught up in our own agenda,
Yeah.
like God's timing, like a delay might be a blessing.
Yeah. Right.
And that's something
Yeah.
I'm always having to remind myself. Like
Yeah.
I say that like I've mastered that. I haven't. Like when there's a deal that, we're working on of, I do business acquisition as a side thing, and there's a deal that was supposed to close and it goes longer, or the terms changed, or this and that. Like
Yeah.
I'm human. I'm still like, damn, like this was supposed to
Yeah.
close 3 months ago. Like, let's go. But it's not on me. It's,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, learning surrender is
yeah.
is a key. I've been forced to learn that lately, because that's one thing about the power of putting yourself in a situation where you're building something. If you're going to make it work, you're forced to grow. And, that's one of the key ways I've found that I've been led to learn to surrender, which is big for a lot of us who do have that entrepreneurial mindset. A lot of us have leadership qualities, and so we can have a tendency to want to control things, right? And so learning that surrender is so freeing. There's just a couple other questions that I wanted to ask every expert to help the audience see the connection that your work has with empowerment, or what I'm calling Mama Bear energy, and ecological living. And what Mama Bear energy means to me is making the decision to stand up for what's most important, despite outside resistance or sacrifices that might have to be made, especially when what is needed is a bit unusual or unpopular or is a stretch from what we're used to, like we were talking about. How has this kind of decision been a part of your journey?
Yeah, I love that. We were talking big even before we got on here. The
Yeah.
more and more that I'm stepping in to this energy of, I'm a woman who's deeply grounded. I'm a woman who knows her value. And I'm going to show up and play the game in a very grounded, powerful, royal energy. Like truly, like we use around like, hey, queen, like, no, like think about how queens actually carried themselves, like when ruling a country.
Yes.
They had all the money in the world,
Yeah.
not in the world, in their own country. They were very wise about where they put their resources. They had a team. They get feedback from people around them. They're not afraid to say yes, no. They make decisions. They think about them. So, and the more that I'm doing that, I'm noticing it's supporting other people, but specifically women around me, to start to do the same. So it's a different frequency. And it's that mama bear where I want everyone around me to be thriving. Like I truly know together we thrive. There's no competition. Like there's more than enough for everyone to go around. So as I've stepped into this women empowerment work in our full expression and learning how to business, let's get clear of what is the things. Let's make a roadmap. Let's get our feet on the ground with our hearts wide open. Your heads could be in the cloud, but your feet got to be on the ground.
Right. Yeah.
That's mama bear energy, where it's cool, get your shit together in the most loving way. Like, hey, we got big things to do. It's time. Get your stuff together.
Yeah.
So that's really been, how that's been showing up for me.
Wow. Thank you. And so what gives you the motivation and the strength to pursue that path in spite of the challenges?
I don't choose the path. The path chooses me. Like we've said, the deeper I say, I want my will and your will to be one and the same.
Yeah.
That is my prayer every day.
Yeah.
May my will and your will be one and the same. I have come to resolve that I'm very powerful this lifetime. I had stuff on it where I was like, I don't want to be the leader or taking up space, all the things. And then I finally started to say, okay, I have a voice that gets listened to, not because it's me, because I'm so okay with God using me to do what we need to do to help people to operate from their God force. Let the God force move through you.
Yeah.
So the more that I just keep, it's not me. I mean, yes, there's my avatar. Yes, it's my my humor, my voice. There's essence of me, but it's not me.
Yeah.
When I do a healing session, someone, it's not me. I'm just the vessel. So I do this because this is my job. And it's not every day that I even wake up wanting to do the thing. Sometimes I'm just like, can I please just go get a normal job and just like go do the things and just live a normal life? And it's like, I could, but truly would I? No. Like this is what I'm here for, and I'm damn good at it because it's not me. God's really good at what God do. God's really good at what God do.
Right. So how has making that choice and continuing to pursue it to kind of, in a way, sort of step aside, like get ourselves out of the way. How has that been worth it for you?
Life's a lot easier.
Yeah.
It's just like it continues to get more and more fruitful. The
Mm,
deeper I listen and I move forward and I go with it, the more fruitful it becomes. And as those that we work with as entrepreneurs, like it's going to all continue to grow and evolve. But the people we work with and the experiences we create and what we offer into the world will also get to be a match of what's going on in our world.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
what I offer, my offers have changed and evolved over the years. There's certain things
Mm,
that stay. We still do Reiki sessions and trainings, and that's like a
yeah.
staple. But my programs and the retreats and the themes, they've shifted because now I've grown and healed through my kaka around value and money and get the vision and get your feet on the ground. Because I was very ungrounded for a long time. I had sexual
Yeah.
trauma. I didn't have value. I was my Kundalini awakening. My feet were not on the ground.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I've gone
Wow.
through all those things. So now I get to do offerings and helping people in that stuff. And it's very fulfilling. I live a
Yeah.
very fulfilling life. It's very full, but it's fulfilling. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah, that's perfect. And along those same lines, I've heard you talk about letting what we touch turn to gold. And what I'm calling eco-friendly living, what eco-friendly living means to me is acknowledging and living in harmony with the larger systems that we're all a part of,
Mm.
instead of fighting against them or ignoring them, because that really doesn't work in the long run. And often we're afraid of our own power and we're what it would mean to succeed. So it's more comfortable, like you were saying, not to influence the world too much. And so how can opening our hearts and letting what we touch turn to gold, as you say, empower us to influence the world in a more powerful way? And how is that empowerment worthwhile spiritually?
Mm-hmm. Ooh, fire question, girl. Like, when we look at it, we're all connected, right? There's some
Yeah.
things as we continue to grow and evolve in the transitions of this world, there's some things that are capital T truths.
Yeah.
One of which is we're all connected. What we do to one, we do to all. That
Mhm.
includes humans. That includes our trees and the minerals
Mhm.
and the water and all of the things.
Yeah.
Everything is interconnected, and what's happening to one is happening to all.
Wow.
So as we continue to allow ourselves to grow, expand, take up space, this and that, we're supporting others in the network in
Mhm.
doing so.
Mhm.
And as we continue to have this connectiveness, we also have our individuality simultaneously. We're
Yeah.
all working to create the same puzzle. At the end, when it's complete, if we complete it, we'll see. At the end of the puzzle, we all get to look and we're all looking at the same picture. But we all
Yes.
have our unique puzzle piece to the puzzle. And as we carry that forth and this is my piece, let me find my people to help build a puzzle.
Yeah.
Well, then the more it may help other people who are carrying a puzzle piece, who don't even know they're carrying a puzzle piece.
Right.
It can stir something in them and wake them up. We can't force them. That's not how it works. We'll actually
Right.
push someone further away if we try to stir them awake. That doesn't
Yeah.
work, people. Don't.
Mm.
I've been there. Don't do it. But
Yeah.
just by
Mm.
showing up
Mm.
and sharing and shining your piece brightly, it can stir something in someone, makes them just start to think another way and get curious. And then maybe, the next day or a year from then, they go, oh my gosh, I have a piece. Oh my gosh, I'm a part of all of this. And that's how it can continue to awaken others and spark their fire. But it's not by running around saying, I found the fire within and I found this thing and you have to come do it. It
Uh,
only happens by us letting our fire grow bright and leading by example.
yes, letting our light shine, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, and you're a really beautiful example of that.
Oh,
I've
thanks.
I wanted to highly recommend to the audience Kelly's book, Rise Above Fear. And she also has some other really beautiful offers available on her website to support you on your journey. So definitely check those out. It's a really beautiful website. You've got a lot of amazing, juicy stuff going on over there. And you also have a free gift for the audience. And it's a workbook, Clean Up Your Money Stuff workbook. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. Sometimes you just gotta call it what it is. Let's clean up our money stuff.
Yeah.
And we all have stuff. Like that's what we're here for this lifetime, so we don't have to be ashamed of our stuff and try to pretend we don't have stuff. And no, we have stuff. We're here to have
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
And a lot of us have money stuff. And no matter where we are in our financial journey, there's probably still some money stuff. So it's a really simple starter workbook that has us start to really look at that, get clear. And, sometimes we can be very, especially if we have a lot of money stuff, we can be very avoidant of our money at large. So it's just an opportunity to start to look at that and start to explore a bit. And then there's a practice in there to start to work on that relationship a bit.
Oh, cool. Well, thank you so much for offering that. It's exciting.
Pleasure.
And so where should the audience go to find out more about your work, and what have you got going on now?
Oh, such a fulfilling life. People can go to heartspace.co to the website to check out all of the things from coaching. We have a retreat coming up in December. There's all the information there for that. And then our offerings, meditations, and things like that you mentioned. You can also reach out on Instagram. I am Kelly Keefe. Or if you want the heart spaces specifically, it's the heartspace_global. And those are the best ways to reach me. Just kind of keep it simple with that. And coming up is the Rooted and Rising retreat in December. We have a bunch of other stuff going on, but you guys can find that or reach out to me if you want to talk more like group stuff or one-on-one. It's in December, and it is on this theme of helping visionaries get super crystal clear of what is the vision, and then creating the grounded action plans to walk it into reality.
Perfect. Wow. You also have a novel coming out?
Yeah, little this, little that going on.
That's cool. What's the name of that, if you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, it's titled She. I wrote it in 2016, and then I had just moved to New York. I just started the Heart Space and moved to New York, and then I wrote it as I was here. It's kind of my own processing, journey. And then I started pitching it to publishers in 2020. It's like, hey, why not? And it actually got picked up. Awesome. So we've been in the process with that, and hopefully it'll come out soon. I'm kind of at the mercy of, I'm in surrender and patience and nature time, eating my own medicine
That's right.
of the publishers, and kind of the mercy of the publishers. But it's a story of a woman spontaneously moving to New York City, and the getting acclimated and learning the buzz of New York City while starting her spiritual awakening.
Okay, wow, that sounds exciting. Well, Kelly, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and inspiration with us.
With pleasure, my love. Thank you for creating this and creating a space for us all to come together to share our wisdom so we can thrive together.